Hi there guys, I thought I'd do a quick update video on what on earth's been happening over the last couple of days because I posted some stuff on my Instagram stories and people have been wondering what on earth's going on. So on Wednesday I started to get a pain in my shoulder for about here, sort of just at the top of my clavicle, where my bra strap is. And then slowly that started getting worse. Thursday it got really quite acute, quite a sharp pain. Sort of walked the dog and stuff, and it was not great. It's hurt even more when I was breathing in. And then slowly over the night it got horrendously worse to the point where I couldn't get any relief from it. I can move it fully, that was absolutely fine, and nothing particularly pulled it or anything, but it was just incredibly, well, it was excruciating. In fact, I was doubled over. I was crying my eyes out. I couldn't catch my breath. The pain was so intense. Felt like I was sort of being constantly stabbed, and it wouldn't alleviate. Nothing would alleviate it. I'd already had a hot bath and stuff. I'd rubbed a load of tiger balm on it. And in the end, I had to take some morphine. And then I was in such a state that Tim had to call the chemo helpline because we just didn't know what on earth was going on. So that was sort of I was already about 9 o'clock at night. So they suggested just having some more morphine. And by that point, because I was just lying on the floor, I couldn't even just sit on a chair, on my side. So I could sit on a hard chair, but I couldn't sit on a sofa because that just made it a million times worse. Every time I moved, it was just absolutely awful. I think what also happened is that it was basically sort of accompanied by a massive panic attack, hence why I couldn't catch my breath and I was just screaming, and Tim was worried sick, and the pain, because I was I think was so tense as well, was just making it like a million times worse. And it doesn't surprise me because after everything that's sort of gone on over the last couple of weeks, I think it just absolutely I just sort of hit a wall completely. So anyway, the second lot of morphine, bearing in mind I haven't taken morphine since I was first diagnosed, when I actually had my rip in my chest, or my cracked sternum, because this time the pain was just so bad. That basically then knocked me out. I went to bed at 9:30. I sort of woke up in the night a couple of times, but in that sort of your eyes sort of open and then you sort of just fall straight back asleep type way. Then I didn't wake up until 9 a.m. I went downstairs and tried to have some breakfast. I had to eat at a certain time because I was still on penicillin for my infected nails, and then just felt really quite sick, and very woozy, very lightheaded. Chemo helpline called back about 9:30 and asked me how things were, and I sort of explained to them how things were. At that point, I should say that the pain was nowhere near how it had been the night before. It was still there and really quite bad when I breathed in. I was breathing in, but not as nearly as excruciating the whole time, but it was definitely still there. So they suggested that I got an appointment with the doctor just for them to have a poke around and have a look around, and then also said to keep them posted if it got worse, to call them back and stuff. So this was Friday. I called the doctors, and then there weren't any appointments available, but I had to wait for a duty doctor to call me back. So I went back to bed. Now I don't do that. I never do that. I haven't done that. Crikey. So I can't remember the last time I went back to bed in the day. So it was about 9:45 or something. I went back to bed, fell asleep. Dog was laying on the bed with me. It was really sweet. He was just snoring his head off as well. Oh, there goes my wedding ring. Bear with. Oh, crikey. So, then I had my phone in the bedroom with me. Tim was downstairs just sorting stuff out and everything, bless him, taking the dog out previously and everything. Phone rang about 10:30. It was the duty doctor. I spoke to her and discussed what had been going on. She said, yeah, we'll get you in with the doctor. Can you come in at 2:30? And I was like, yeah, that's absolutely fine. So I then fell back asleep. The next thing I knew, it was 1 o'clock. I was like, whoa. So clearly I'd either completely exhausted myself and just really needed that time out. Then got up, managed to have some lunch, was feeling much better by then, wasn't feeling nearly as woozy. The pain was still there again, but had gone even more since the first part of the morning. Didn't feel quite so sick and everything. So yeah, had managed to have some lunch, had a shower, and then Tim and I headed to the doctor for 2:30, and he took a look, listened to my chest, didn't think it was there wasn't a sign of infection because all my obs were okay, it wasn't red or anything. He said he would send me to the hospital for chest x-ray and a clavicle x-ray, and we'd get the results in about a week's time. And I was thinking at the time, a week's time? With my condition? Anyway, we came home before we went to the hospital just so we could take the dog around the block just in case we were going to be up there for some time. And in that time I called my secondary breast cancer nurse, Sue, and she was straight on to my oncologist and then straight back to me and said, Dr. A wants you to go up to A&E. I was like, sorry? Because it was hurting when I was breathing in, they were concerned that I had pleural effusion, which I didn't really know what that was. I knew it was something to do with the lungs, and it sounded as if they might have been a bit fucked if that was the case. What it actually was is, fluid on the lung. Because she said, are you short of breath? I said, well, no. But when someone says that type of thing to you, and then you start thinking that you are. So anyway, I was like, okay. So I told Tim, and we were like, when he came back from taking the dog, so we literally got ourselves ready with, we took some cake, water and everything, because you know what it's like in A&E. It can take for a very long time. What Sue had said to me is that she was going to call A&E in advance to let them know that I was coming in because I'm a chemo patient. Even though I have finished, but it was only sort of like 3 weeks ago. So we got up there about 3:45. I was seen fairly quickly in triage, and the nurse was so lovely. She was really nice. She said, Kate, we're going to get you a chest x-ray, then we're going to take you around to cubicle 9. So I was just immediately sorted. So I went back into the waiting room, and then about 5 minutes later, in fact, if that, Tim and I were called through. I went for my chest x-ray. That literally takes about 2 seconds because all you need to do is whip your bra off if you've got any metal on, see, and then stand against a board, and then it's taken like that. So it takes no time at all. Then I was taken around to cubicle 9 in A&E. We were going past lots of people on trolleys in the corridor. So I felt very fortunate that I had a cubicle at least. Then over the course of the next 3.5 hours, I had blood tests. They were originally saying that I was going to have a full-on blood test as normal because they didn't have anyone that was trained in taking blood out of a PICC line in either A&E or the medical assessment unit, which I couldn't believe. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Anyway, they managed to find a nurse in the end, and he who was trained in PICC line stuff, so he managed to get blood out of it, although that took a long time. And over that period, I was having my obs done and things like that. They did come round at 6 o'clock to offer us food, which really surprised me. I didn't sort of know that happened. But yeah, so it was incredibly stressful, worrying. The long and the short of it was, thankfully, I didn't have pleural effusion. They couldn't see anything on the chest x-ray, although saying that I had a chest x-ray before they found the crack in my sternum, and the chest x-ray showed nothing. So I'm still a little bit unsure about that. Anyway, the bloods then showed that one of my liver levels has gone down slightly since my routine blood test that I had on Tuesday. And 2 of the others had gone up. So, God knows. But because they are there, obviously A&E is there to sort out acute medicine. They said they couldn't really say what it was because it could be 101 things, but what they were doing was ruling out, what it isn't. So it wasn't pleural effusion, which was the main thing that everyone was concerned about. My liver is behaving in, my liver's not massively different to where it was, because the other thing at this point, I actually started to have pain sort of around this area here. And because your liver is such a massive organ and goes sort of like across your stomach, they wanted to just check that out as well. So we got out of there at, what time was it? 3:45. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it took us 4 hours, got out about 7:45. Went straight to the supermarket, because Tim had been planning on making a massive curry, went straight to the supermarket and just got a pizza. So it had been such an incredibly stressful couple of days. I messaged my breast cancer nurse, Sue, and she said that was all sort of good to hear and that she's going to catch up with me on Monday just to sort of see how we are. So today is Saturday. I've still got a little bit of pain. It's not nearly as bad as it was. Still got a bit of pain in my side, but again, not nearly as bad as it was. So, crikey. I was meant to be going shopping to Bicester yesterday with my friend Jen, and obviously that didn't happen. And this, geez, since I've had this progression, it's just like an absolute nightmare. It's like last year almost felt like, well, it was a breeze in comparison. So, when I first had my re-diagnosis, because I was just having a couple of injections every month and take some tablets, and apart from the hot flushes and stuff, I could just get on with everything else. But this is just... absolutely knocking me for six. And then today we had agreed on Thursday with the breast unit, because they desperately needed some volunteers to help out with manning a stand that they were having to raise money and awareness at Morrison's over in Bromsgrove. And Tim and I had volunteered to do it, and we were both like, oh my God, are we going to be able to do that today? And I know they would have been able to have, someone else would have been able to take over, but didn't really want to let them down. And because I felt so much better this morning, we went over today and did that. And I went without any headscarf or anything. I thought, well, if people aren't going to put money in a bucket seeing a girl with no hair, then when are they going to do it? So, pull on the old heartstrings a little bit. So we've been over there and did that. It was only for an hour. But when we came back, I was shattered. Thankfully, Mum and Dad had taken the dog out, which was really sweet, for a walk this afternoon, because we did it the first thing this morning. And I just had cake and tea, which is what you do, isn't it? And then came home to two really nice packages, actually. One from my mum's hairdresser, who used to be my hairdresser years and years and years ago, Karen, which is really sweet, and one from my friend Claire from choir, who bought me salt and vinegar crisps, ace, bourbon biscuits and custard creams, because she knows from my chemotherapy appointments that those are the biscuits that I love, because they're the ones I always choose out of the packs that you get at hospital, and some like nice moisturiser stuff and things, and some more chockies. Well, I'm chocolated up to the max, so that was really kind. So yeah, it's not been quite the weekend or few days that we had planned, but that's the way that things go. Look at these eyebrows today that I drew on. These are crazy, right? And this lighting is terrible, so it always just makes me look like I've got really bad eye bags. But yeah, I've gone full on with the eyebrows, but I don't think it's too bad. Also, I've got no eyelashes still, but because of eyelashes, you don't look at the eyeliner, it's not very straight. But yeah, so I went full on today. So anyone who's interested, this is makeup stuff now. My favourite. Just really quickly, I was going to show you what I've got on today. So I have got Estee Lauder Double Wear Nude in 3C2 Pebble. Underneath that, I actually put my concealer on underneath today rather than on the top. So I've got the Delilah Farewell Colour Corrector for the dark circles under my eyes. This is put on a few hours ago, so some of it's probably coming off a little bit now. NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in the colour Custard. NARS Pro Prime for my eyelids, which I absolutely love. It's my favourite thing in the whole world. I can't do my makeup without it. I then went over with some Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Pressed Powder. It's in the colour Medium. I then used Rimmel Scandalised 24-hour waterproof eyeliner on my inside eyeline. It's tight line, top waterline, to make it look like I've got some eyebrows. And then I went over the top with that with NYX waterproof pen liner in black. On my eyelid, well, actually before that I did my eyeshadow, which is like, it looks a bit messy actually, it's not that great, but I just used a Bobbi Brown Longwear cream stick in the colour Shadow, and then literally just did a really, really quick blend. Just put some in the outer corner and just did a really, really quick blend. Followed that with some the Estee Lauder Edit in the Barest Blusher. It's a bit full on, isn't it, the blusher? Never mind. Used this that Jen gave me quite some time ago, actually. It's High Definition Eyebrow Palette, which is fab. And I used a mixture of that colour there and the black. Hence why it's a bit full on in terms of the eyes. But I quite like being able to draw on different eyebrows. I had some the other day which were darker and a bit thinner, and they also looked good. And I'm quite liking this ability to sort of like do that. So over the top of my blusher, I wore some Pixie by Petra. This is highlighter and blusher, but it's mainly sort of highlighter, and I put that down the centre of my nose, on top lip, and then I used, actually it's still in my drawer, some Kiko liner, lip liner, which I got from my Wigs for Heroes box, pamper box, and then finally the beautiful electric poppy lip colour, which looks a lot redder on there, but it's a really bright pink, from Charlotte Tilbury, which I absolutely love. So there we go, there's the end of the makeup after all that chat about bloody hospital and lots of other total crap that's been going on. So I hope everyone else's weekend is faring a little bit better. I want to wish Jen loads of luck in the half marathon. Tomorrow was the half marathon. We're so proud of you. You're going to absolutely smash it. I know you said you'd never do another one after you did it last year, but we are so glad that you are. You've raised loads of money and you're going to be absolutely brilliant. So mwah. Big love to all my girls. Susie is at Hen this weekend, and Helen, who's at her brother's wedding, which is very, very exciting. I was so chuffed that she's got to go after being in hospital last week. And yeah, just big love to all of you out there. So take care, and I'll see you all soon. Goodbye.